abuse that I could remember was when my dad came home one day after work, putting 2 cigarettes out on my body when I was about 4 years old, rubbing his hands all over my body and using his hands for penetration. My uncle is a single male, no kids. He was never interested in only age for women. He was only interested in little girls.
半年前呢，我在街头认识了一对夫妻。第一次见到这个女孩，她在一家一元店门口放了一块牌子乞讨。她最终接受了我的采访。这一期的内容开始之前呢，我要做一点提示了。Taylor 是我的受访者中最重度使用者，他的前半段描述状态仍然在受到的影响，希望大家给予多一点点耐心。我们今天以 Taylor 的故事为契机，来谈谈儿童保护。
Peace cannot be kept by force. It can only be achieved by understanding. For the first 10 years of my life, it was actually really great. I had my grandfather, the idol of my life, taught me my morals, my respect, dignity, pride. 2004, everything drastically changed because he passed away. Biological father, his side of his family were alcoholics, drug addicts, smokers, you name it, they've done it. It was almost every other night because every other night was bath night. That's whenever he ended up hurting me constantly. When my dad came home one day after work when I was about 4 years old. I'd had one too many drinks. He ended up getting really high on cocaine. He started rubbing his hands all over my body and using his hands for penetration and everything like that. Putting 2 cigarettes out on my body. One in the center of my chest and one on my underarm. Also going after my older brother, picking him up by the throat and slamming him out against the corner of a wall, which could have almost paralyzed him. And once my mom found this out, she kicked him out of our lives. Anytime somebody hurt me, my grandfather dealt with it. When he passed away, I think that's when my uncle saw his opportunity to harming the juvenile in the family. My uncle is a single male, no kids. He was living with his mother at the age of almost 40. He was never interested in only age for women. He was only interested in little girls. My uncle had ended up taking me into the basement. All I remember is blacking out for about an hour. Being that young, it's the strike of pain that can cause a child to black out or pass out. When I passed out, for the first time actually molested me because I had woken up in his bed completely unclothed. 2 sets of handcuffs so he could strap my ankles and wrists to the bed and stuff like that and just do whatever he wanted to me. I ended up pregnant once. I know it sounds odd, but I asked one of my friends to push me down a set of stairs because I didn't want to be a 10, 11-year-old mom at the time. I didn't want to have to tell my mom that I had gotten pregnant with her younger brother's child.
Taylor 被推下楼梯后，孩子没了，同时摔断了几根肋骨。在12岁的时候，他又尝试，但是天花板的挂绳的力量没能够承载住 Taylor 的重量。在他窒息之前，绳子从天花板脱落而下。Taylor 从不到10岁就开始被舅舅。她从一个活泼好动的小女孩到沉默寡言，门都不出。体重从110磅掉到了75磅。她的姥姥是一个精神科护士，有40多年的从医经验，同住在一个屋檐下，竟完全没有注意到自己孙女的变化。她的妈妈也没注意到。Taylor 作为一个小女孩，唯一能做的就是偷姥姥给病人开的处方药，来缓释自己的痛苦。During the 6 years, have you tried to talk to anyone about this?
No, not until I hit 16, when I ended up in a relationship with my daughter's father in high school. My daughter's father actually came running in through my grandmother's back door, ran down the stairs. He had a knife in hand, and he told my uncle that if he doesn't let me leave with him, then my uncle's never going to be walking again.
在男友的鼓励之下，她决定跟自己的家人坦陈这段经历，但是姥姥和妈妈第一时间阻止她报警，而妈妈的理由是，她自己也曾经被自己的舅舅建议 Taylor 忍下来。17岁的时候，她跟男友生下了一个女儿，以为之后的人生会相安无事，但是没想到的是 女儿8岁的时候，舅舅的魔掌又伸向了他的女儿，他这个时候才下定决心报警。舅舅之后入狱，并终生不能接近，但这并没有给 Taylor 的悲惨人生画上句号。相反， Taylor 的人生已经被占据，并因此流落街头，无家可归8年时间。若不是因为她的现任丈夫的呵护，她可能早已经不在人世了。
Most people who end up on the street, most of us are actual victims of some extreme abuse or some form of trauma. All of us get judged because of it. Whether or not, oh, they're on the street because of drugs. We're on the street because something bad happened to us that we can't let go of or we can't move on from. It hurts because it starts to remind you of the reasons why you're on the street. It wasn't for my husband. Honestly, I wouldn't be here today because I've had so many attempts on my life. I have a cousin that I classify more or less as like a sister to me. We were very close. We literally grew up together. I saw my uncle getting very close to her and touching her and like starting to touch her legs and that inappropriately. I decided to get in the way. I put myself before her. I wasn't going to let her get hurt, so I decided to let myself get hurt instead. Like, even when I was that young, I had I was always looking out on life a lot older than what I should have been, because I basically helped my mom take care of my brothers. I was always looking out for my younger siblings. When I saw my uncle walking my cousin towards the basement, I called her back and I told her that I was going to go down with him.
Your cousin never got harmed?
No.
You took the responsibility?
Yes. Friday, January 5th, 2024, Glenn Gnatic was struck by a vehicle on RVH property and he was killed on impact. Our plans were actually to go to a couples rehab. I was to go back to school. He had jobs lined up. We had places lined up to go view, to get off the street. There was no chance to say goodbye. There was no chance to get some closure. No chance to tell him that I loved him.
他的先生 Glenn 本来也要分享他的故事，遗憾的是还没来得及，就已经离开了人世。Taylor 和 Glenn 两个人几乎形影不离。Taylor 患上了分离焦虑，哪怕有10分钟看不到自己的丈夫，都会觉得浑身不适。我的第一次对他的采访 ，Glenn 其实就在他的脚边，全程躺着陪伴。
Like myself, he was a highly abused child. He was very respectful. He always wanted to take care of everybody. He used to go days without eating to make sure I would eat. I've always told him if he won't eat, neither will I. It was always us against the world instead of just him or just me. When it comes to the trauma that I have gone through, there's no weight compared to what grief I'm going through right now. Losing my husband, honestly, probably the worst thing that's ever happened. I would take all the abuse in the world if I could have him back.
今天的故事就到这里了，记得订阅这个频道，我们下一期见。
The advice I would give would be make sure your children are always in sight. Keep them close. Make sure that your children have no problem being 100% honest with you. No secrets. Teach your children that even if they can't tell you, they can tell another adult. If someone's forcing you to keep a secret, make sure your children know. Tell your parents, tell a teacher, or if it's something extremely dangerous, make sure your children know what a police officer or a police car looks like. And make sure they know that they are safe to run up to a police officer and ask for help. There's not any particular look to anybody when it comes to someone who will harm a child. They could look as average as you or I. If you know your kid is more outdoorsy and likes to go outside all the time, all of a sudden it flips to them locking themselves in their room and not wanting to come out. Ask them what's wrong. Make sure your kids are comfortable. Always make sure you're paying attention to your kids.